presentation from Dataself. Just wanted to let you know that if you do have any questions during the presentation, go ahead and type them in the question box on the panel, and we'll make sure that we get those read out loud and answered for you. My name is Ginger Kittinger with Blytheco, and I'll be kind of hosting today. Again, we've got everybody muted so we can get through the presentation, and then we'll have time for questions and answers at the end. We're also recording this, so if you do need to take a look at this again afterwards or would like to share with other people at your company, feel free to do so. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Joni Girardi with Dataself.
Thank you, Ginger. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. This is Johnny Girardi with Dataself. Very excited here to talk about how analytics changed at Sage Summit, and it's always a pleasure to work with Ginger and Blytheco's team. So let's get right into it. The first two questions that I have is, what if reporting were easy? What if it could be done anytime, anywhere, by anyone? That was the reality that most people were facing before Summit. And at Summit, we changed the game. So what I want to do today here is give you a high-level overview of how we changed reporting at Summit. And I'm going to jump right into a kind of, couple of minutes product presentation to show you how easy, reporting became. So this is Dataself Analytics, and on the left side we have here we call the data panel, is where you can see your information coming from your Sage ERP or CRM system. In this example, I'm looking at sales information, which is usually easy to explain to anyone, regardless of what department do you work with. So here we have sales information like customer, invoices, products, salespeople, territories, shift to, so forth. And then you have your measures. Now in this sample here, I have the ERP information combined with the CRM information. And with Dataself Analytics, you can combine data from anywhere. If you have Excel spreadsheet information, other databases, proprietary systems, they can all be combined. And as a business person, you see this data panel and you see a list of just reporting parameters. So I'm going to build from scratch a fairly sophisticated dashboard. It's going to take me a couple of minutes to do that. And the point is I want to show is it's super easy. So let's see. I want to see my sales. I'm going to drag my sales to my report. That's my sales. And I want to break down by month. So I'm going to put my months to my columns. So for every month, I see my sales, over months. Okay, that was pretty cool. Now, in the sample database, I have a multi-company framework. I'm consolidating several ERP databases into a single dashboard. So when I bring my company to my color, I can put a different line for every different company that I have, and then I see sales by month by company. Okay, so far so good. Now, what if I also want to see information from CRM? Well, it's all combined in this example, and I have a number of meetings, which comes from my CRM. And let me drag my number of meetings to my report. So now I have sales and number of meetings side by side. And so I don't get confused. I want to make my number of meetings as bars and my sales as being these lines. Okay, that's the first part of my dashboard, showing sales by company and number of meetings. Now, I also want to see in this dashboard, I want to see sales by geography. So I want to see by state. I want to see my deal sizes, I have small, medium, and large invoices. I want to see how I'm doing them by state. And I want to put all this information on a map. So I can see, how I'm doing over by state. In this case, I have bigger bubbles, bigger sales. And sales are sliced by the size of the deals being, large, medium, and small invoices. Okay, that seems pretty cool as well. Finally, I want to get the same information, and I want to actually have numbers by the penny. Some people really like to see and analyze data by, by the penny. So let's put also some grid information. And finally, I want to combine all of this information into a dashboard that will be available for an iPad. So I want to see my map here. I want to see my first query. Everything is drag and drop. Very straightforward. I don't need to be a technical person. I don't need to know complicated technology. Let me make this as landscape. And that's my dashboard. It took me about a couple of minutes to build from scratch a fairly sophisticated dashboard. As a business person, I don't need too much training. I don't need to understand tables, links, which is usually required if you're building reports and dashboards. This is really easy. This is really simple. And just to give you an idea of why and how we do this, pretty much all the other reporting and dashboarding solutions available in the Sage market, they are what we call a expert-centric approach. So these other solutions, they require someone that will spend days, sometimes weeks, to become an expert. And then they'll be able to build reports, change reports and dashboards quickly. They become experts. The point is, people who need the reports and dashboards, they're usually not the experts. They are business people that are super busy running their operations. And then every time that they need to do something different with data, a different report, slicing and dicing, what they have to do, they have to call the expert. And usually they have to wait. And sometimes they have to wait a long time. So the other tools are more like the expert-centric. Our approach is user-centric. This tool has been designed to empower the users, the people who need reports, to be able to access them anytime, anywhere. They can access these reports using desktop, web, and mobile devices. And even with those interfaces, like a mobile device, they can actually slice and dice dashboards, building ones from scratch quickly and easily without calling an expert. On average, with our solution, more than 70% of the custom reporting needs can be tackled by the end users. And actually, let me show a little analogy that I like to do when I talk about this user-centric approach. So this is my mom and my dad. About 2 months ago, I was in Brazil. I'm from Brazil, by the way, if you're trying to figure my accent. And my mom was turning 80, so I went there for this special event. And my mom, she never used a computer in her life. When she needed to exchange messages with me or Skype, she would rely on my siblings to take the computer, log in, connect, and make a Skype call. It was too complicated for her to learn the computer. Too many keys and mouse, left click, right click, and all that complications. She just couldn't even think about using a computer. Then last year, I gave her an iPad. And what happens? Well, since then, she Skypes with me directly by herself. She checks the news. She's even a Facebook user. The point is, tablets are user-centric. Most people that want to try to use a tablet, they can learn it without an expert. They just start clicking and they figure it out. While a computer needs an expert. So we are the same thing. We are like the iPad of reporting, while the other guys are like the computers. You'll need an expert for the other tools. And we, it's through the user-centric approach. Now, not only our solution is so much easier to use than the other reporting tools in the Sage market, but our team has been working with Sage products and mid-sized companies for over 14 years now. And if you buy our solution today, the complete solution comes with more than 5,000 reports, dashboards, and key performance indicators out of the box. So it's a very comprehensive solution. It's easy to use. If you need to find some information, often one of these 5,000 reports may have the answer. And if not, you can take it, one that is close enough, and just tweak it. Or sometimes just building from scratch is easier. Myself, for instance, when I'm doing presentations, and sometimes people ask me, do you have a report that shows something? Sometimes for me it's easier to build it from scratch than to find that specific dashboard out of 5,000. So, overall building, changing, slicing and dicing is easy, and we have this very comprehensive out-of-the-box solution. Now let me show a little bit more about the solution per se. Most people ask us, so how people usually access the reports? Most people are not going to have time to build things from scratch, so how they can consume reports? Well, as I mentioned, we have the desktop client that I just showed how to build one from scratch. and we can easily save this dashboard locally or on a web server. And this is usually for power users who are more kind of data hungry. They're going to be doing their own reporting and slicing and dicing. Most users will be accessing their reports and dashboards and even changing them or building from scratch using a web portal that I'm showing right here. This web portal renders dashboards on any on the most popular web browsers as well as on mobile apps like for Android and for iOS. Now, when you log to this portal, this portal is highly secured and it can be deployed on premises, behind your firewall, or in the cloud. So both options are available. So when you log into this portal, it will only give you access to your own dashboards. So let's say if you're a salesperson, this dashboard would only have the sales team dashboards. And then let's say as you browse through it, and this is like a sample. I mean, I have more than 5,000 total, but this is only a sample of my dashboards for presentation purposes. If I go to this dashboard, let's say if I'm a salesperson and I open one of the dashboards, let me say top and bottom customers. So the security can be set up in a way that, if I were the rep for California, this would only show the top customer by sales change in California. If I were the rep for Florida, I open exactly the same dashboard, but it only shows the top customers in Florida. If I'm the big boss, I open the same dashboard that everyone has access to, everyone else from the sales team, and I see the top customers across all territories. So a single dashboard built by the publisher can be distributed to a lot of people, and security behind the scenes can control what each individual can read from this dashboard. So very easy to distribute, very secure to render the information. Now, these dashboards, they were built to be informative. And let me show, I'm just going to show some of the out of the box to give an idea of what kind of information is available out of the box. And I'm going to show initially on the sales standpoint, just because most people understand sales. So this report here is showing top customer by sales this year. So I have sales here in bars, bigger bars for bigger sales. I have the percentage gross profit as the black dots, and I also have the percentage gross profit as colors for my bars. Kind of informative. Once I've seen and I understood how this dashboard works, next time that I want to see my top customers, I can easily tell, if profitability is a big key performance indicators for me to track off. I can easily tell these two of my top customers are very unprofitable, and maybe I need to work more closely with them, do something to try to increase profitability. So if this is important, this kind of dashboard would be very informative for me to focus my effort where it matters the most for my bottom line. Now, other reports like this one sometimes are even more critical, is looking at the tip of the growth curve of your main KPIs. And this could be anything. It could be sales, it could be expenses, revenues, inventory, purchasing, costs, whatever it is. Looking at the tip of the growth curve is usually critical because that's where the biggest changes are happening. In this example, it's pretty informative. It's showing from a sales standpoint which customers are growing the most since last year to date, which is usually great. Most likely, salespeople are on top of these customers, probably no problems. In this case, better sales is better. Maybe it was cost. Costs are increasing. That would be bad. In this case, it's good. But on this example, the top customer by sales decline can be critical. Maybe some of these customers are leaving your business, and maybe you don't know about it, and you're not working closely with them to reverse the trend. So checking why these customers are declining so much, first thing you need to know who they are. And we have many dashboards showing trends like this that can help you focus your efforts where it matters the most. From let's say a commission standpoint, if you have commission for salespeople, you can have dashboards like this. You have here for, let's say, for the current month, you have the days of the month, and then you see sales growing, throughout the month. That's your target, and here is your commission, how much the salespeople is accruing their commission on a daily basis. Very informative, very simple. And if I'm the salesperson for this dashboard, maybe every Friday I want to receive, at the end of the day, I want to receive an email telling how much commission I have accrued throughout the month. So if I want to go crazy and party this weekend, I could know if I can or not. So people that have access to this interface, they can subscribe to receive these dashboards automatically in their inbox. So they do not have to open their report on their devices. They just receive it as an inbox. So this example, I click the email, so I want to subscribe to this particular commission report, and I want to receive it every Friday evening. So again, when I receive, I see if I'm doing well, if I can spend some extra money over the weekend, and beautiful, I'm off. And every Friday in the evening, I'll receive that email. In the email, we'll have a screenshot of what this report is as of Friday evening. And if I want to slice and dice it, I can click that report in my email, and it will go into this interface, and then I can slice and dice it if I have that kind of power capabilities. So very, very convenient, to do your own access to your reports as needed, or receive by email these reports on a schedule basis that you subscribe to, so you don't have to go to the information comes to you. Again, the idea is user-centric. It's around people needs. They can customize their own needs and have their information delivered as needed. Let me show some of these other out-of-the-box reports that sometimes also can be valuable. This is more like a financial reporting. It's looking at revenues. This is a multi-company. You have two different companies. We have different revenues over the weeks. We have growth information. So this information can show grids, like a financial reporting type of report. It can show charts very easily, all dynamic, very ad hoc. I want to show two other examples, and then I will go back into some other concepts about the technology. One of them is, let me go to no sales. Another major kind of analysis we do that is also quite often critical, and many mid-sized companies are not paying attention to, or what we call exception reporting. Exception reporting shows you things that are no longer happening. In this example here, this dashboard, again looking on the sales side because it's easy to explain, it shows you customers that were buying from you in the past, but they stopped buying in the last different periods. So these customers, they were buying in the last 60 days, but didn't buy in the last 30 days. So maybe if your business have recurring customers buying all the time, maybe this quadrant is very important. Or maybe no, maybe your customers only buy once a year or once every 2 years. I don't know how your business model is. But then if that would be the case, you could go to this one. I want to see customers who are buying in the last 5 years, but not in the last 2 years. If you have subscriptions, for instance, that are yearly, maybe you're going to look at something like this. The point is, having dashboards and reports that are exception reporting, looking at things that are no longer happening, are critical. And we have lots of those reports from a sales standpoint, inventory. If you carry inventory, what items have not been moving for the past, I don't know, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, whatever it is. We need to get them out of the stock. Tell me what they are. And then using exception reporting, you can focus on areas that are not well utilized and improve your business. I'm going to show one more dashboard here. Then we're going to go back to some concepts. So what I want to do now is a little ad hoc analysis using the web interface, which is about the same as the mobile device interface. So assume I open this dashboard here. Again, it's a sales dashboard, and I have sales on a map, like I kind of built from scratch using the desktop client, bigger bubbles, bigger sales. I also slice by the size of the deal. Then I have sales by salesperson, bigger bars, bigger sales, and profitability by salesperson, also represented by a color schema, and then what product has been shipped. Now, This report here is dynamic. It's ad hoc. So if I'm a regular user, an average user, and I have access to this dashboard, I could come here and say, okay, I want to see only sales for those 3 states. I could use my fingers on the mobile device or a mouse on my computer, select them, and when I do that, the whole dashboard changes to show sales, or in this case, sales by salespeople for those 3 states, and what products were shipped. If I select one salesperson, now I further change my dashboard. So this is only how much Sam is selling for those 3 states and what product is being shipping. So this is very dynamic. I can change dates, I can change filters, and pretty much I can learn how to do this with little or sometimes no training. It's very straightforward, very kind of point and click, kind of the iPad idea. Yes, you may need some guidance, but overall it's fairly intuitive. You're not going to break it. If you click here and there, or if you touch with your fingers, you're going to figure out how this works. Of course, we provide training for people so we can ramp up more quickly, but the idea is it's really intuitive. It's like the iPad of analytics and BI. Now, if I'm a power user and I want to slice and dice this completely, or I want to change from scratch, change completely, or build from scratch. So if I'm a power user, I will have this edit button, and when I click the edit button, then on a web or on a mobile device, I pretty much have the same user interface that I showed you before when I build a dashboard. And this is pretty dynamic. I have all the different quadrants here, like I showed before. You build the different queries on the different tabs. And then let's say I want to change this one. I want to see only grid. So I change this dashboard, that particular grid from view from being a bar to a grid. Let's say, hey, I would like to break this down by product line description. So I can drag, and I could be using my fingers, drag and drop. Very simple, very intuitive. And there you go. By salesperson, by product line, sales gross profit. Maybe I want to add customer information. Everything is drag and drop. Very intuitive. I can come here and put between salesperson and product line, or I could put at the end, or maybe let's put it in the middle. Drag and drop, easy to use, is like an iPad. It's very straightforward. Maybe I want to break down by year, by quarter, by month. Everything is drag and drop, easy. You get it done, and that's it. So very intuitive. Anytime, anywhere, business people will be allowed to make these changes. Also, sometimes you want to, let's say, download this information into Excel. Some people are really Excel power users, and they love to use Excel and analyze their data anytime, anywhere. Using a desktop. So if you want to do that, you can come here and select a data point, like in this case, and I use this little icon where I view the data. So when I click to view the data, I want to see the underlying data, and then I see all rows. So now what I have here is I see all information for all underlying data that made up that particular, sales for that salesperson. And if I want to get this into Excel, I can click download all rows, and then I'll have here all that information, and I click, and it goes right into Excel. So easy to access anytime, anywhere, using any device, easy to get into Excel. The idea is to give people information so when they're making their decisions, they can make more informed decisions, not based on gut feeling. How do we do it? How can we make the solution be so easy, so intuitive? Well, let's talk about that in a PowerPoint slide. Let me talk about Gartner. Probably you know Gartner is one of the most reputable companies doing technology assessment for the Fortune 2000 world. In every year, they assess what vendors in the Fortune 2000 world are providing the best BI and analytics platforms, and they rank in many different criteria. Making a long story short, these vendors here, they are pretty popular in the Fortune 2000 world. And overall, the higher you are in this axis, the better this company or this vendor is providing the technology. They're more successful, getting more user traction, being better than the other folks. Tableau, which right now is considered by far the leader in the analytics world, they are, for the past few years, they have been ranking bigger and bigger. They went IPO last year, actually one of the most successful IPOs in the past few years in the technology world. And they are today considered the king of the hill when it comes to ease of use and intuitive dashboarding for business people. That's what they're really good at. Microsoft is the leader when it comes to BI infrastructure. Now, what about these two companies? What about Dataself? Well, what we provide to the Sage market is we bring the top two leaders right now in the Fortune 2000. There is no one better than them. We take Tableau, which is the leader on the dashboarding ease of use. We take SQL Server, which is Microsoft BI infrastructure. We add our own technology that eliminates programming from these folks, so we make them simpler. And we add more than 5,000 reports, dashboards, and KPIs out of the box. So Dataself Analytics is the best of the breed technology available in the upper market. We make it simple, we make it better, and we make it affordable. So it becomes easy to use. It becomes fast to deploy, usually in a few hours, maybe in a few days. We have been working with high-end or enterprise-level analytics for over 14 years, so we know the Sage products and we know these enterprise-level platforms, BI platforms. And overall, this solution, the entry-level solution, can literally cost you a few $100s per month. Again, we have on-premise deployments as well as in the cloud deployments. And that's what we do. What we're bringing is making enterprise-level technology easy and affordable. Now, let me show you here on our website very quickly our architecture. So if you are a little bit technical, and I'm going to keep this conversation very simple, how this framework works behind the scenes. So if you go to dataself.com, and by the way, on our homepage, we have this 2-minute video. So if you want to show someone else how easy our solution is, this 2-minute video pretty much will give you a overview of all of this webinar in 2 minutes. So I recommend to check it out and share with other people to show how cool and how easy to use the technology is. Anyway, so if you want to see the architecture of our solution, you come to the analytics by product. And by the way, here we have a description of our out-of-the-box solution for different, Sage products. But I'm going to go to the software architecture. I'm going to click here. And here we have how the technology works. So on the far left, we have your data sources, which would be your ERP, maybe your CRM, and you may have other data sources, proprietary, point of sales, inventory management, whatever it is. So we pull data into a ultralight SQL Server data warehouse, typically on premises. We do this whole procedure using our technology, so it's very easy. Pretty much we eliminate programming from the framework. Then this data is nicely organized to be fast and easy to be accessed by business people. So we push that information into this web portal, which can be also deployed on premises behind your firewall or in the cloud. We have both models. And at the end of the day, your users, which do not need to be experts, not only they'll be able to access your information anytime, anywhere, but they will be able to change it on the fly as needed. What we have seen in our client base is that many of the users, they are too busy selling, managing, doing whatever they're doing really well, and they may not be doing the ad hoc analysis per se, but the good news is many of our users, usually like a fraction, like 20% of them, they are more the data hungry people, and the guys will be investing a little bit of their time to learn how to slice and dice and change dashboards. And these people, not only they'll be the guys figuring out the trends that are going on your business and telling meetings, you know that this is happening and blah, blah, blah. But these guys will also be able to support other users to figure it out. Because at the end of the day, if I'm managing my operations, if I'm managing my purchasing or my sales, I know my operations. And if I have questions, if I want to improve it, I know usually what the problems are, potentially. So I can start digging into my data to figure it out. If I have to tell the IT person or a reporting expert what they have to do, they do not know my operations. They do not know my things. So they're going to be understanding my request and building something else. Then when they show me, I'm going to say, well, good job, but we need to spin it differently. And that's why the challenge that people face today, people who build reports, they don't know the problem. They don't know the operations. And then the person that knows the problems and knows the operation have to tell this other person, this expert, what to do. And then, it takes forever to get the answer. With our iPad approach reporting dashboarding, you give the person who is feeling the pain of lower sales because whatever it is, a way for this person to start slicing, dicing the data and finding what's going on without calling someone else and waiting. So that's the beauty of this. It's really empowering the right people with the right tools so they know what they need and they can find why they're having some challenges. And with that, they can improve their business and operations. So that was pretty much, my presentation. I wanted to open now for questions. So if you want to have questions, you can use the GoToWebinar panel, and you can type a question and click the send button. We'll receive the questions and we'll address it on the fly.
Well, thank you so much, Joni. Yeah, if anybody does have a question, feel free to type it in, and we'll be glad to get that asked and answered for you. Loved your parent-mom iPad analogy. That was so sweet.
Yep.
I recently switched my mother over to my Android smartphone, and it didn't take her too long to get it. She's 75, so I was real proud of her.
It's funny. My mom, just a quick note here. So she now is using Facebook, right? And before she was completely like, no, Facebook is BS, whatever. And then now that she's using Facebook, but she's using like, just the very basics of Facebook. And one of the things in Facebook is you can send like a message that is public to everyone, which is the default. When you post something, everyone that is your friend will see the message. Or you can send a private message to a person or to a group of people. Now, my family was setting up a surprise birthday party for one of my siblings, and then they had all this nicely organized all in the family. My brother was not aware, and then mom went to Facebook on that day in the morning, and then she published public because she didn't know better, asking about is it all ready for the surprise party, and then the surprise was gone. So
Aw, that happens. Well, I'm not seeing any questions come in, so it looks like our attendees probably had everything answered. It was a super presentation. I appreciate that. This is being recorded again, and so we will make sure that we have this loaded on our website, and we'll send this out to everybody that attended. And any questions, we'll make sure we get those over to Johnny, and he can make sure that he gets those answered for you. So thank you for everybody's time today, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, folks. By the way, my information is here on the website. If you need to contact me, my cell phone, email, and Twitter account, feel free to reach out Ginger's team or myself, and we'll be glad to take your questions and clarify them. Thank you, Ginger. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a happy Wednesday. Bye-bye.